Welcome to Rite of Passage Podcast. This podcast breaks down the key points of books, articles, and other forms of media in order to guide you to become the best version of yourself. Here's your host, Desmond Broadway.
Welcome. Man, today is episode 1 of the Rite of Passage Podcast. My focus today is going to be on making sure that you're a well-rounded and developed person and why that's good for your mental health. Basically, the benefits of well-roundedness and the purpose for mental health and growth. First of all, having that purpose provides a sense of balance. When you have diverse interests and pursuits in life beyond just work and career, you really have a drive for what you want to do in life. It gives you perspective and prevents you from becoming one-dimensional. This balance and variety can make life more fulfilling and enjoyable. It also exposes you to new experiences, branching out to develop new skills. Hobbies and interests can expose you to new people, ideas, and experiences. This not only helps broaden your horizons and prevents you from getting stuck in a rut. It boosts confidence and self-esteem, and mastering new skills and gaining knowledge on different topics makes you more confident in your abilities, which in turn makes you feel confident in multiple areas and builds self-esteem. Next up, of course, it combats boredom. It combats boredom and stagnation. Having different stimulating activities and challenges prevents boredom and mental stagnation that can lead to depression or lack of fulfillment. Staying active and engaging in mental and physical activities boosts your mental health and your fulfillment in life. It also provides a sense of purpose, which is also why I named this podcast The Rite of Passage. I want this to be a way to direct yourself into whatever goals you have, while also building yourself up and making yourself stronger each week. Now, the stronger you are, this gives you more opportunity to make contributions, help others, and fulfillment. Purpose is linked to better well-being. And as you know, we're lacking that certain rite of passage now. And so my goal with this is to give you that direction and to help you expand your network, giving you not only fulfillment, but a well-rounded being. In summary, being a well-rounded person with purpose encompasses physical, intellectual, social, and emotional growth. This leads to greater life satisfaction, confidence, and resilience when dealing with life's challenges. Our mental health and sense of meaning are enhanced by multidimensional personal development across different domains. Now, the video I want to react to today is by Dan Koe. So let's read just a little bit about it before we get into this, shall we? All right, let's see. Go to his About Me. All right. It says, "Hey, I'm Dan. I'm a brand advisor for a 7 to 8 figure creators, influencers, and social media brands. I'm the guy they come to when they feel that lack of realness in their messaging, vision, and lifestyle. No fancy sales, funnels, and pushy marketing in this household. I help them systemize their workflow, marketing, and content so they can work for 2 hours a day, charge more, and sell their product and services with manual effort. As a freelancer turned consultant turned creator, I developed effective systems with time, skin in the game, and experience with 10,000 students and clients. From everything I've seen, like it says right here, he says he's just a human obsessed with humans. But the main thing I've noticed from him is that he's simplifying the growth process. It's these things you do. If you do these things and work hard, you will become successful. And I think it's probably one of the main 5 or 6 tenets I think I'll focus on with this podcast is developing yourself to where you're so anti-fragile that there's no concern unless something obviously tragic happens, but even then you can bounce back eventually because you've built yourself up physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. All right, so let's get into it. This is called The Cure to a Mediocre Life, Becoming Multidimensional and Jacked.
Always had the drive to max out every area of my life. I saw life as a video game. My mind, body, spirit, and finances were the traits that I had to gain experience in. I wanted to become multidimensionally jacked. Maybe because I started questioning the default.
My question for you is, what would you consider your form, before he actually tells us, what would you consider your true form of being multidimensionally jacked? Because for me, I imagine It'd be strong self-esteem, secure, financially stable, or financially free to where you can do whatever you need to do. Obviously, you still have to work, but you have the flexibility. Being lean and active. So you're strong, muscle, you can lift whatever you want, but also your body moves the way you want it to. You have good cardio, which means you have good lung and heart too. A good lung and heart on you too. And then of course you're certain and you're comfortable socially and emotionally and spiritually. So you know what your purpose is, you know what your goals are. And I guess in summary, it would be clarity. You have clarity and you're moving forward in everything you want to accomplish.
Path early. Maybe because I noticed how unhappy, overweight, and miserable people seemed. Maybe because I observed how people limited their opportunities by taking a specific path in life. It didn't make sense to follow what most people do because that would lead to a life that most people have, and that isn't pretty. The problem with the default path in life, or your trajectory that you are set on and conditioned into since birth, is compartmentalization, specialization, and niching down. We are trained to focus on one dot instead of the lines that connect the dots. In school, we learn biology, chemistry, math, literature, and more. We go to individual classes that don't connect the dots between them all.
Not only do they not connect the dots, you're basically trained to be a worker. And not everyone's going to be a worker, but it depends on what type of worker. Are you working for yourself? Are you working for the community? Are you working for the government? Sometimes it can be all of those things, but really it's what service are you providing instead of what are you doing what do you want to do for others? It's here's a path, figure it out later, but these are the things we're going to force you to do before you even consider what your actual purpose would be.
Lacks holism, creativity, and the kind of practicality that gets abnormal results. After school, we narrow our minds further on what we think we want to be for the rest of our lives. We're expected as teenagers to choose one of infinite paths in life when we haven't even started our real life. How can we know exactly what we want? There doesn't seem to be a greater recipe for misery than to focus on one thing for the rest of your life. This strips our curiosity and creativity from us. It leads to a world where warriors lack brains and intellectuals lack balls. A philosopher will ignore the practical aspects of life simply because they identify as a philosopher. They are an intellectual, not a warrior. But the main question of philosophy is, how does one live the best life? And so if a philosopher can't build...
Do a favor for me. In the comments below, write down what you think your best life would be. I know what mine would be, and I'm working towards it now. But what would your best life be?
A business, or manage their emotions, or create fulfilling relationships, then their philosophy means absolutely nothing. And the same thing goes for something like the reductionistic approach to science, where you throw a frog in a blender and you observe its parts, but that lacks the holistic nature of the frog. That limits the discoveries that can be made. Rather than observing the frog in its environment and how it moves, even if you put it in an environment that you create, that still, there's no frogs interacting with it. It's not able to travel. It's not able to do its own thing. And so observing and studying and taking every single piece, taking the universe into account, and like a cone coming down from the sky, this is metaphorical, analogous, where truth is this big picture narrowed in on one small aspect of reality, and making discoveries that way, like a spotlight. The effects of compartmentalized learning destroy our individual potential. So now,
not only that, you're basically missing out, like you said before, on those essentials because you're only getting like a very small piece of the story. When really there's multiple ways to do it, and you can do all the ways. That way you have an understanding of how it starts, how the frog was born. You see it from an egg to a tadpole to becoming the frog. You see the ones that are venomous and you see how that frog in each stage of its life carries out its life. And so you have a fuller understanding. But what if you just saw the frog appear one day? You missed out on the egg and the tadpole. So you didn't really learn how it started. It just, to you, it magically appears one day. It's just, oh, there's a frog there. And so you've missed out on two huge parts of what it's becoming.
Now, we need to discuss the modern or the digital Renaissance man. So here's a graphic where the digital Renaissance man is self-educated. They pursue their curiosity. They build digital leverage. They embark on physical training. They are health conscious. They socialize. They dedicate time to purposeful work, and they are spiritually inclined. Because at birth, we are prescribed a certain way of life. Go to school, get a job, find a partner, try to squeeze in activities that make life good, retire at 65, and never work again, when work is a necessary part of life that should involve investing our attention in what we deem enjoyable. In school, we're told to pick a major. In business, we're told to pick a niche. So we neglect the other areas of study that make those things work better, and our results suffer because of it. Creativity is the path to wealth, mental and financial. And creativity requires a high level of understanding focused on a specific problems, like the cone.
But then just like business, it also helps to have an understanding of the other aspects of creativity, knowing how to learn the basics and then use those tools, basically understanding the basic rules. That way you can break them and forge your own path, because you understand the things everyone needs to know to start on that path.
Or smack in the middle of a second golden age. There is so much information on the internet that it becomes overwhelming. There is no way you can learn everything, but you can learn quite a bit. People still live in a paradigm where they have to get very good at one thing, because in the past, that's what the environment required for success. Now, success is reserved for the value creator, the specialized generalist, the new Renaissance man, the digital Renaissance man, somebody who can study diverse interests, create value from them, and sustain an enjoyable lifestyle like IT.
I think that's what I struggle with starting this channel. I was like, I love fitness. I love fashion. I love mindset. I love understanding mental health. And there's so many other things, but those are the four I want to focus on. And it felt like, well, can I provide value in all of these? And not only that, will people actually be able to watch these videos and understand what my channel is about, what my podcast is about, what all these things I'm talking about, that they're all linked. So I posted a video earlier this week. It's on Monday. It's, now I need to look. Oh yeah, there it is. So yeah, I posted a video on Monday. This video on Monday is called Unlock Your Potential. And that basically says my schedule, and it says the purpose of this channel. And the purpose of this channel is to help focus in for people and help them live a life led without regret. So living a life with your goals and your success in mind by becoming a more well-rounded person.
Each in digital economics. So before we dive in, I have an announcement. I am running one last solopreneur sprints before the year ends. And this may be the last one simply because I'm building a new software business and we're going to transfer the sprints over to that. There's going to be different topics. So this is the last time the sprints on the one-person business model will actually be a thing. So if you're interested in creating your niche of one, building a name for yourself, and creating profitable career and business opportunities, writing about your interests, and hopefully discovering your life's work, I would encourage that you at least check it out and enroll before the closing date. The link is in the description. Solopreneur Sprints. We live in very interesting times where there is an overabundance of information, but it's only overwhelming to those that don't have goals and intentions behind their learning. Because
it's so crazy that we have the most information that we've ever had, but now that we have all this information, just like many other things, it's been mistranslated. People are reading things wrong. People are picking points from studies and then be like, see, this is what I believe. This study proves it. When really these studies are to be actively finding the truth. If there's an error, those people report it. They have people fact checking them. We have the scientific method, but people are like, oh, no. This one study from this time ago, it's been proven wrong now, but it confirms what I believe. So it's still true. Even though a lot of things have been debunked that people still hold on to.
That's how you learn everything, is you filter signal from noise in every single piece of information that you process in alignment with the conscious goals that you set for yourself, not the goals that someone set for you. Because when you are born, people are just projecting goal after goal after goal that shapes your behavior and what you do. And so you perceive life through that lens and you attempt to survive to achieve those goals. Those goals are how you survive and you interpret information and learn in that fashion. The creator economy emerged and it started condensing information into actionable courses on things like business, health, wealth, relationships, etc. Content, courses, and books are like zip files for your mind in the modern world. It no longer takes 4 to 12 years, $40,000, and a piece of paper to make a replaceable income. But this implies personal responsibility.
And the hardest part is the personal responsibility. Or not the hardest part. It's simple but not easy. There's things we can do to improve our life. And it's simple to get the information. It's simple to do the steps, but oftentimes we waver. We waver on what we want to do, what we want to accomplish. And so you stop right before the finish line, or maybe sometimes you didn't even get to the starting line because you're still busy wavering or doubting what you want to do.
Nobody is there to hold your hand. So here's what you do. The first thing is that you have to become nobody. Become labelless, become everything. Be a designer, writer, marketer, socializer, runner, bodybuilder, philosopher, scientist, psychologist, and polymath that knows how to sustain their obsessive curiosity. Subscribing to one skill, ideology, or identity limits your potential in every situation. The universe is a shapeshifter. It is in constant flow. The oceans evaporate, condense in the clouds, rain down into puddles, and the water inevitably finds its way back.
The circle of life, baby.
Nothing is permanent. Your selves are completely different from just a few years ago. Your interests are allowed to change. Your mind is...
What was it? There's like a certain amount of time that whatever nutrients or food you had in your body, that actually becomes your cells. So say you've been eating junk food for the last 30 days. That is a piece or the makeup of your cells for the next time period. And so it's like a delayed effect of whatever good you're doing. That slowly becomes who you are. It slowly becomes your cells, but before that, your body's still kind of like lagging on whatever junk you ate or whatever horrible thing you were doing.
Is allowed to change. You are allowed to change. Become the universe. Point number 2 is the curiosity compass. As a kid, people would discourage going through a phase. Now, I had my emo phase in high school. I had my bodybuilder phase. I had my raver phase. And all of them have shaped who I am today.
Comment down below your phases. Let's see. I didn't dress like an emo, but I definitely had an emo like music phase. Then I had a wrestler where I was just obsessed with wrestling. That's all I thought about phase. And then it was powerlifting. Powerlifting, I was hooked for like 2 solid years. That's all I did. I was focused on my lifts. I ate, slept, breathed, powerlifting. And then my next phase was raving. Like so many raves, so many festivals. It was just any chance there was one in my area, I was going to that rave. And there was a few more after that, but let's get back to the point of the video.
Because evolution is about transcending and including. And so you transcend and you pull the good parts up with you, where I have learned different things throughout my life when I went through those phases and was obsessively curious and experiencing life in those domains, whether it be the gym bro phase, the emo phase with different music, and even the raver phase and meeting people, meeting interesting people at raves. But that's the thing, is that there's absolutely nothing wrong with experimentation. There is absolutely something wrong with conforming to the whims of others. And this even goes for something like going through a phase where you just have to consistently check in with yourself and make sure that you are thinking independently and not completely relinquishing.
You check in, is this the best thing for me? Is this helping me? Is this serving me? There's definitely phases I fell into where it was fun, had a great time, but it wasn't really serving me. In fact, it was a detriment to who I was trying to become. So it was very fun, very hedonistic, because it was a long cycle, but it wasn't serving me.
Your autonomy just because you want to fit in with that specific group. Prescriptions, roadmaps, and long curriculums are not bad, but they narrow your mind on a specific outcome with specific advice to reach that goal. This is useful, but should not be treated as a one and done type of deal. That's how you get trapped in a miserable life. There is one pattern I've noticed in both myself and those I aspire to be like. They don't limit what they learn to one thing. Everything connects. By pursuing what you're curious about, not only are you motivated to...
Before he goes, I'm curious, what would you guess he means by they connect? Is it that you focus on all these attributes and it's all things you're interested in, and so you find a way from the work together? Or is it you focused on beforehand making those things work together because you knew they were going to link up? So say you knew you wanted to start a business. So you're like, okay, I'm going to learn editing. I'm going to learn marketing. I'm going to learn financial knowledge to have this business be better. Learn the best way to hire people and who I should hire and which positions I need. Or is it a one at a time, you learn this thing and come at it and add it to your list of things you need once that problem. Like, for instance, when I first started editing, if there's a problem, that's when I was Googling. Other than that, I was just winging it. So let me try this. If it's a problem that comes up, then I'll throw it in Google, I'll throw it in YouTube and look it up.
Learn, but pattern recognition increases meaningful dopamine in the brain to help you solidify high-level knowledge. Focus on one thing is good advice, but only if that one thing is a massive, unrealistic goal that requires you to focus on a plethora of skills, interests, and experiences to achieve that goal, or at least make it close to achieving that goal. It is wise to become obsessively curious with a skill for 1 to 2 months so that you can add it to your toolbox. And then when you move on to the next one, you do it from a place of better experience and you're able to notice more and you're able to acquire skills faster. And all of them combine and culminate into this very unique skill set that nobody else has, because you are pursuing curiosity and nobody has the same curiosities as you. By pursuing curiosity, you are separating yourself from the competition because you are creating something truly unique, not only a skill set, but what you are able to produce in terms of like a product or service for someone else so that you can earn an income from it. Or just when you communicate, you don't want to be the same as everyone else. And so the best way to do that is to diversify through curiosity. And even in business, when you niche down for too long or too far niche down, then you just become a glorified search engine. You lack.
Not only do you become a glorified search engine, I've noticed that people get very bored. That's the only thing you're doing. And so once they're done with their use for you, or once they're done using you as their search engine, they move on to something else that interests them. But if they're interested in you as a person, interested in what you're interested in, and you have multiple things to show them, then it carries it further, or you're carried further, because it's a tree and there's so many branches and different apples, better apples to pick from. If they don't want this, they don't like the taste of this one, grab a different one.
Depth. You lack depth and personality. You lack the thing that the future will require. People have explored the niche areas of life enough, right? You don't have to subscribe to one little path like, oh, I'm going to be a biologist, I'm going to be a chemist, I'm going to be something else. You can become everything nowadays simply because the learning is available with courses, content, books, etc. So readily available information, and your ability to really do anything that you want. You can write content, you can build a readership. It's all pointing to the creator economy and just distributing the value that you've cultivated over time, but most people don't cultivate that value. So the people that do and can pursue their curiosity for 1 to 2 months on end obsessively for the thing that they discover through experimentation, because there's going to be certain things that don't resonate with you, but when you actually...
What resonates with you? For me, it's almost, what resonates with me is growth. And what I mean by growth is seeing the things I'm passionate about and slowly improving on those things, which adds to my fulfillment and adds to my enjoyment of whatever I'm doing.
Actually do that, then over the course of 1-2 years, you launch ahead of 99% of people. And so that's the third point here, is that you have to invest in your education.
And what was it? It's like if you read 3 to 5 books on a subject, you know more than most people know about that subject, who obviously aren't diving deep into that subject. So you have obviously you don't know everything, not even close, but you have a more established knowledge than most.
In this life, you own one thing, your mind. Everything else can be taken away from you. There's one thing that the school system did get right, which is consistent daily education in hopes for a better future. But schools don't prioritize curiosity, so most people hate learning by the time they graduate. Learning is the foundation of the human experience, and once you stop, you die. Hammer it into your head that you have to be learning something, anything, every single day. No matter if it's 10 minutes or 3 hours, your future depends on it. It really does. There is no other way to discover a new potential for your life so that you can actually move in a new direction that wasn't assigned to you, because you can't act on opportunities that don't exist to you. And you can't even register specific opportunities because you have to get to a specific level by doing your own thing enough to actually be able to note that, because you have the skill to do so. See, if I haven't even started a business, I'm not going to be able to see someone, let's say on the internet, and be like, oh, this guy has this business, I have this offer, he's going to be able to pay me this much, I'm going to reach out to him in a way that I know how to do, and then eventually systemize that into a way that consistently gets me those clients. You don't know what to do because you haven't started doing anything. When you stop learning, your life stops progressing.
Oh, yeah, that is so true. I noticed that in the times when I felt stagnant, it was usually because I wasn't learning, I wasn't making any moves. I noticed that with all the other people too. It's like I run into them years later and it feels like nothing has changed. Nothing has changed in their life, and you wonder why. But then you realize they weren't learning anything, they weren't working towards anything, and so that's why their life feels stagnant.
You stop growing. The psychological benefits and feel-good chemicals stop flowing. Life gets mediocre and repetitive. You become mechanical and robotic. And so we've talked about learning a lot through curiosity, education, becoming nobody, doing everything. But learning means nothing without building. So in my new book, The Art of Focus, which I am launching a keepsake edition, a keepsake box, this won't be a normal book launch. There is an updates link in the description if you want to join and get updates on that. But in the book, I have a section on the philosophy of the builder, because one pattern I've noticed in my life is that I've always carved out time to build something of my own. Schoolwork, client work, and project.
So my goals, just so we're throwing stuff out there, I'm going to say this a lot on this one. That's just because I want to know what you're working towards, but just comment down below what you want to build, what you're working towards. For me, it's this YouTube channel, it's this podcast. After that, it will be working on one jewelry piece at a time for a jewelry line. And there's more things in the works after that I'm slowly working towards, but those are the main two. This, and then the jewelry line.
Projects assigned to me at a job were necessary, but didn't get me the fulfillment I was looking for. My life was the meta project that was built through a series of personal and business projects. Projects frame your attention and learning. When your focus is on that which you are building, all information that you are exposed to is filtered through that lens, as long as you remain focused on the project. The source of learning is struggle, not memorization. You must encounter a problem, discover the solution to that problem, and integrate it into your life. To identify a problem, you need a goal. To solve a problem, you need to create a solution. To create a solution, you need a project to invest your attention in for the next 1 to 6 months. This is what I do every single morning. This is what I mean by I've always had a project to build. With my focused work and deep work and 4-hour workday philosophy, the first block of
It's amazing how having that focus, that one thing you're working towards for the next month to 6 months, once again gives you focus, gives you clarity, and it gives you purpose. And purpose, I'd say it's underrated, but people know it's underrated. People instinctively know they need a purpose, but oftentimes they forget when there's those deep lows. That's probably one of the top 3 to 5 reasons why people feel worthless, meaningless, feel just low, is because they have no purpose. There's obviously a few others that definitely have a big part to play in that and mental health, but that lack of purpose shapes people in a way.
Every single morning was that high lever project that I was building out that would lead me to the life that I wanted. And even when I was working a 9 to 5, I still had that hour every single day that I was building something. I was making progress no matter how slow it was. And when I say project, I mean something that is measurable and documented. And it doesn't have to be something like a physical product where you're like, you think of project and you're like, oh, I need a hammer, I need nails, I need wood, I need to like arts and crafts. That's not what I mean. It can be as simple as having like a weight training log for going to the gym and tracking your food, tracking your weight, and researching and learning about fitness information along the way so that you can correct your actions along the way, because you're not going to be able to actually register a problem when you are consuming the education that you're trying to learn, because you aren't doing anything that would make you realize you have that problem.
And then if you're not tracking, it's so obvious if the people who are lifting, since that's what he uses as an example. People who are tracking their weight. You'll see people where you go to the gym every single day and they've been lifting the same thing for weeks, for months. And you wonder, what are they doing? And usually it's two main reasons. They're either really scared or they're just not self-aware because they haven't been tracking, or they're just that type of person who wouldn't be self-aware. And so, or a little bit of both, They feel scared. They're tracking that. They're not tracking. And so each week they're lifting that same weight. And it's like, this is still kind of challenging, but I don't really want to go any higher yet. I'll go higher like a month, and then I'll finally add some weight a month later. And then they'll stay there for the next month or two until they feel brave enough to go to the next step and the next step and the next step. But they get lost in the sauce, basically, but not in a good way. They're distracted. They're lost at sea trying to find when they should improve more because they're not really paying attention to what they're doing. And people do this with life in general all the time, where years go by and then you realize, oh, wow, what have I done? What have I accomplished?
It's just going to go in one ear and out the other. And so the same holds true for business. Is when you are building a product or when you're building a brand, you have the project consists of levers that you're removing every single day, and it has milestones. It has different things, components of the project that you have to piece together. So let's start there. The first thing you need is big, irrational goals followed by small, rational steps. Again, we have the cone shape that dictates truth. One habit to build your mind, one habit to build your body, one habit to build your business. Experiment until you can find the ones you can stick with for life. In 5 years, you won't be the same person. Big goals are better than small goals because they give you the vision, motivation, and long-term focus necessary to see them through. Because I get more excited about wanting to build a $1 million business in 1 year instead of sending 10 networking emails a day. I get more excited looking shredded on the beach this summer than I do meal prepping for the week or having the weekly goal of meal prep.
True.
So to embark on the journey of becoming multidimensionally jacked, you need to create a big goal.
Basically, big goals create big dreams, which helps you do those small habits consistently.
For each pillar of your life. The first is mind. How do you want to handle emotions and stress? Do you want to have the same mediocre mindset as everyone else? The second is body. How do you want to look and feel? How does that impact other areas of your life? Like how others perceive you and throw opportunities at you. The third is spirit. Do you feel like life lacks meaning, wonder, and fulfillment? Do you feel like life is happening to you or that you are flowing with life? The fourth is business. How much money do you want to make? Why? Do you want that money to come from purposeful endeavor, unlike 90% of jobs? And the problem is that most people stop here. They mentally masturbate over their goals and they tell people about it, which is scientifically shown to increase dopamine levels in the brain as if you achieve that goal. And you end up never making any meaningful progress towards them. So the second step is to outline a project for each domain of life. The goal is the what, the vision is the why, and the project is the how. Now that we have a vision and motivation for our goal.
And it's so powerful and important to structure. I've written mine out, but I think I want to go over this again and rewrite them because I got some big things coming and I'm excited.
Goals, we need to gain clarity. Projects have a goal, process, and priority actions to knock out on a daily basis. So what can you do every single day that will move the needle toward your goals? What aspects of your goals do you need to educate yourself on to make better decisions? How can you document your progress in a way that keeps you motivated to come back tomorrow? So in a notebook where hopefully you wrote down your goals, I hope you're not just watching this and learning without building. I want you to create a simple project for each goal. So first thing you write down is the milestones. So write down tangible milestones with realistic timelines. The second is variables. Write out each variable that will help you achieve the goal. For health, it's nutrition, training, sleep. For business, it's product, traffic generation, content, etc., etc. You can figure that out. The third is principles, the priority actions that will move the needle forward.
So
the fourth is
the
skills, the skills you have to acquire to actualize that goal. This brings even more clarity to changing your life. Now, the third thing we need to understand is that you want to start, then learn. If you want to learn faster, don't start learning. First, outline a project. Second, start building it out. Third, learn along the way. Too many people get trapped in tutorial hell, stacking up useless knowledge as brain fog.
Yeah, if you're moving, taking action, and then looking back and seeing what you did wrong, that's way better than getting stuck in purgatory where you're learning, and getting nothing done because you're so focused on learning without actually applying anything. So it'd be better to learn one thing each week, two things each week, and then apply those to your life instead of looping on the same things without actually learning.
Encounter a problem and experiment with different techniques to solve that problem. And when I was learning Photoshop, I would try to learn everything before even using the software. And when I did start using the software, it was starting over from scratch. I didn't know anything. I had to supplement with specific tutorials and videos that were like, create with me, or here's me building out a piece in Photoshop. And I had to figure out just what to do along the way, where if I had a problem and I watch a video, then that problem is in my head and I'm going to see what the other person is doing, and I'm going to remember that much, much more, and I'm going to be able to go back to my project and fix it. And this is why you need that constant balance of learning, building, learning, building, learning, building. You can't have one without the other. You can't.
With things like that, it's so easy to get stuck, like I said before, in that loop of learning. But if you're bouncing back and forth between acting, learning, then you can see where the mistakes are, what you're not good at, and then you can apply videos or habits towards that as you're growing.
Have output without input. So as you can tell, I would highly recommend a general education habit. Literally just 10 to 30 minutes a day of listening to a YouTube video that interests you, or a podcast, or reading part of a book, or reading like a short form summary, like with the app short form, or really anything like that. Just learn something. The last and fourth thing that we have to touch on here is lifestyle design through habit formation. Build your mind with books, self-reflection, and writing. Build your body with the gym, long walks, and nutrient-dense foods. Build your business with skill acquisition, problem solving, and self-promotion. Becoming multidimensionally jacked is the path to the good life. The difference between you and who you want to become are the habits.
Those are all important, but my gosh, the journaling and long walking are things I've neglected for so long. But getting back to 10,000 steps every day has been so helpful for my health and my mental health, or just I'm moving more. I have more time to think about what I want in life. I have more time to take action, and I just feel healthier all around. Give it a go.
Your lifestyle. Think about it. Do mentally, physically, or financially jacked people just wake up with the best mind, body, and business one day? Or do they have tiny actions they take on a daily basis that maintains their progress and builds towards a better future?
And that's also why people like that. They have a hard time understanding why other people can't do those things, because they've done them so long that, say they're tired one day or they go on vacation and pig out. Well, they've already built the habits in their life to do those things consistently. So they just hop back on what they were doing because that is their normal life. Then, of course, when those days they arrest or pig out, that's 5% of the year. So it doesn't have a huge impact because they're just getting back to what they usually do again after that.
And most people will tell you to stop playing video games, to stop going out, and to stop distracting yourself. And I agree, but I don't. I still play video games here and there, maybe like 4 to 5 hours a week, if that, maybe like 2 to 5. It varies, right? It's not habitual. And I still go out with friends and stay up late, but that's like every 2 to 4 weeks. It really just depends. I have other things to do. I have my priorities straight. And so when the time comes up, I can actually think critically about that and make a good decision. And so the reason I outpace 95% of people is that I front load my mornings with needle moving tasks. Between 5 a.m. and 11 a.m., I go on a run 3 to 4 days a week. Otherwise, I go on a walk the other days to maintain that habit of going outside. I write my newsletter and content for 1 hour. This sustains 95% of my business. Remember, principles. I build out a new project. Right now, it's my book launch and software company. I hit the gym 6 to 7 days a week. I take walks in between all of those activities. I cook nutrient-dense meals that take 10 to 15 minutes to prepare and eat out for dinner quite a bit. I'm hovering around 4,500 calories a day. This is a picture of me right now.
I forgot how tall is he?
Post physique, show proof that I'm not just like hiding in an oversized tee right now. And I understand that not everyone can do this because of time constraints, but there is something you can do.
But there's a way to definitely do a basic form of those things. So that's important to remember, that there's things you can do that simplify your life and make these habits easy to do without putting a strain.
There's some part of your life that you can change. And once you stop believing that, you're fucked. And you may not be able to do it right now, but you can do what you can right now so that you can do what you want in the future. And as you get results from your efforts, You become more efficient at what you do. Time will free up, since that should be a sub-goal for almost every goal you set. It's a great way of measuring progress. When in doubt, waking up an hour earlier unlocks the distraction-free time that will solve most of your problems. That's it for this video, my friends. I appreciate you watching. The Art of Focus, coming soon. Check the links in the description.
Solid video. So I'm so glad we got to watch this. I'll probably do an article next time. That way we're switching it back and forth between videos, audio, and articles. That way it's not all me reacting. Obviously, I put my thoughts in, but I'm not sure how long is too long for a podcast where you're reacting to something. Like, is that weird, or is there a better way to do without, well, actually adding value to what they're saying without taking away? Because this is his hard work. This is his thought process. I'm just adding my tidbits in on the side. All right. Remember, live life, love without regret, and take care.
For joining us this week on the Rite of Passage podcast. If you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help out too. Be sure to tune in every Sunday for new episodes. And remember, live a life led without regret.